Hi everybody, it's Battle Him again. I wanted to talk today about how should I say this? I want to talk about floating behavior and procrastination in the person that was targeted by the cluster B personality. Why floating behavior is so prominent in people that are recovering from these relationships and what we can do about it in the here and now to change. And I left this forum basically because I felt that ruminating about narcissism, about cluster Bs, about psychopaths, etc., was really holding me back from looking at myself and looking at things that I should prioritize and trying to retrain myself to focus on things that are not related to the cluster B person. And when I look at all of the videos and all of the forums on this topic, what's really lacking in the discussion is how we can change and how we can change for the better after these relationships. Because if you continuously put all of your energy into ruminating about narcissists, what they've done to you, what they're going to do to other people, the threat that they pose for society. While all of this is very, very valid and true, the reality is that that's exactly what they wanted. They wanted to train you to put all of your attention onto their agenda at the expense of your agenda. And the minute you really realize that, you're done with their agenda, with their understanding of the world, with their situation, with their drama, with their... The minute you put your foot down and say, I'm not going to babysit these people anymore, is really when you can grow from this experience in my mind. So I want to talk about floating and what it is. And floating is a concept that I got from a very good book that I will also review on this channel. It's called The More You Do, The Better You Feel. How to Stop Procrastinating and Lead a Happier Life. And it's by David Parker, who's a fellow Brooklynite. I want to talk about floating as he described it in this book. And he wasn't specifically talking about cluster Bs in this book at all. In fact, it's a book about procrastination. But I've noticed that procrastination and not being able to function, like on a behavioral level, being able to put your socks on in the morning, is a huge problem for people that are emerging out of sociopathic relationships, sociopathic marriages, etc. And in my opinion, after reflecting on this issue, I realized that the reason why people have a problem with procrastination is because it has soothed them. This tool, this coping strategy, has soothed them within the context of this melodramatic relationship. The person, at some point when they were in this relationship, realized that putting activities on hold, putting aspirations on hold, sleeping an extra 3 hours, will get the narcissist off their back or will soothe them. So if you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Like anytime a person, a codependent person or a person within these relationships wanted to do something that's outside of what the narcissist wanted to do, they were constantly threatened in one way or another, whether it be with the withdrawal of affection, whether it be with the slamming of the door, you know, throwing pots and pans across the room. These people are very crafty at diverting your attention from what it is that you want to accomplish in life and the tasks that basically put you on a higher vibrational frequency, on a higher energy frequency. And so, no contact almost becomes not enough when you emerge from these relationships and dealing with floating behavior or procrastination, because you don't know how to stay on task. Your brain has reconfigured itself to the point where it cannot stay on task. It's constantly ruminating on the narcissist, and even months and years after no contact, the way that your brain is hardwired is to focus on grand things, threats to your existence. If you're in a sociopathic collective at work, you're constantly worrying about getting fired. You're constantly worrying about the other person getting fired. And all of this is a result of conditioning and kind of the wearing down of your executive functioning. And this has been covered by many, many people on this forum, but unfortunately there has never been a cure or an understanding of how people can reverse this. And not even a discussion about how it's the responsibility of the person that has emerged from this relationship to restore this sort of on-task thinking that will get rid of these procrastinating habits, that will get rid of this floating behavior. And by floating behavior, I mean, let's say you have planned out a day and you think that you can get away with watching that one YouTube video or watching that one Netflix movie, but you end up procrastinating the entire day. You end up not doing your laundry. You end up not doing the job hunting that you were supposed to do. You end up not being centered on what it is you want to accomplish for the day. And at the end of the day, you feel frustrated and you sort of beat yourself down for putting things off. And then the next day comes, and the same cycle repeats itself. And a lot of it has to do with brain fog, and a lot of it has to do with just the conditioning that you experienced in the cluster B relationship. Because every time that you were on task, and every time that you were doing something that was not floating, like not watching Netflix, not watching YouTube, not browsing the internet and online shopping, all of these are soothing behaviors that unfortunately people cannot do in moderation when they come out of these relationships. Because every time that they were within that zone of being focused or on task, the cluster B personality would threaten something, would distract them, would deflect them, and put the intention on what they wanted you to do, on what they wanted you to do for them, on what they wanted you to do for another person. So focusing on yourself has become a real challenge because it has never been about you within this relationship. And now that you're no contact, all of a sudden it has to become about you, or at least partially about you, if not 80% about you, because otherwise you'll never recover. You will keep going back into that abyss of thinking about them, thinking about how they did this, thinking about how they did that. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of gurus on this forum want you to be in that place because that creates dependency on their videos, on their message, which may be very, very, very true to life and very comforting, but it's not the be-all and end-all, and it shouldn't be the be-all and end-all of your existence. You need a working methodology about of how to get out of being fixated on this topic, and have the confidence within yourself to leave these environments in the early stages and divert your attention back to things that are constructive. Because anything dealing with psychopathy, narcissism, the people that like them, it's a waste of time and energy, because we see how futile it is to convince people that you are right about this topic. So this is an experience that is hard-earned for you. It's a message that you were chosen to receive, and now it's your job to take that message and to utilize it in a way that's beneficial for you and the segment of humanity that is not okay with these people, that does not accept their behavior for one reason or the other. So let me know if what I'm saying makes any sense to you. And we need to create a exit strategy, a method to get out of procrastinating, floating. We need to think of ways of prioritizing our time and to feel good about that and build a community that is based on supporting personal growth after ending these relationships and after removing yourself from the toxicity. Because you've done well to remove yourself from thieves. You know, if you don't want to be stolen from, you have to remove yourself from people that steal energy. But then the quest is to build up that energy again and to look at life with a renewed outlook and with renewed energy. Anyway, that's what I think, and let me know what you think. Kisses.